All right, here we are on part 2 of Sir Gawain and the Green Knight, and this begins on page 144. Nay, to fight in good faith is far from my thought. There are about on these benches but beardless children. Okay. The Green Knight is not here to fight, and he just insulted all of King Arthur's knights, calling them beardless children, just basically saying they're a bunch of twerps. Were I here in full arms on a haughty steed, for measured against mine, their might is puny. Another insult. And so I call in this court for a Christmas game, for 'tis Yule and New Year, and many young bloods about. If any in this house such hardihood claims, be so bold in his blood, his brain so wild, as stoutly to strike one stroke for another, I shall give him as my gift this gizarm noble, this axe that is heavy enough to handle as he likes, and I shall bide the first blow, as bare as I sit. If there be one so wilful my words to assay, let him leap hither lightly, lay hold of this weapon. I quit claim it for ever. Keep it as his own, and I shall stand him a stroke steady on this floor. So if you grant me the guerdon to give him another, sans blame. What the Green Knight is describing here is something that would have immediately be recognized during this time period, part of medieval romances, something they called the beheading game. And usually it is where one guy chops off another guy's head. Not much of a game here. So he's describing it that he is carrying his battle axe, and the other guy can take his battle axe and have it, call it his own. And basically, the Green Knight is going to stand there and take the first blow, and then he is going to have the chance to do the same thing to whoever decides to take up this challenge, sans blame, without any blame. So if you're a logical person, you would think, well, this is kind of dumb. Of course, I'll take his axe, I'll chop off his head, he'll die, end of the story. But we've got these mythological, fantastical elements involved. So let's continue on. In a 12-month and a day, he shall have of me the same. Now be it seeing straightway, who dares take up the game? His challenge is thrown out there. If he astonish them at first, stiller were then all that household in hall, the high and the low. The stranger on his green steed stirred in the saddle, and roisterously his red eyes he rolled all about, bent his bristling brows that were bright green, wagged his beard as he watched who would arise. When the court kept its counsel, he coughed aloud and cleared his throat coolly, the clearer to speak. Everybody is just silent. Nobody's jumping up and saying, "Oh, I'll do it, pick me, pick me." So we kind of wonder, are King Arthur's knights just astonished by this? Are they actually afraid? So the horseman has to kind of prod them. "What? Is this Arthur's house?" said that horseman then, "whose fame is so fair in far realms and wide? Where is now your arrogance and your awesome deeds, your valor and your victories and your vaunting words? Now are the revel and renown of the Round Table overwhelmed with a word of one man's speech? For all cower and quake, and no cut felt." With this, he laughed so loud that the Lord grieved. Okay, so basically he's saying, well, I heard all these great things about you, but I don't think any of them are true, because by me just coming in here, none of you guys are jumping up and volunteering. Ha! None of it was true about you. And the Lord grieved. That's Arthur. He's kind of like, wow, the guys aren't stepping up. Kind of like if you play on a sports team and somebody issues a challenge and you just kind of stand there and look at each other and don't do anything, your coach is probably going to be kind of sad. Okay, maybe not. Maybe your coach would be very happy that you didn't fall to that challenge. Anyway, with this, he laughed so loud that the Lord grieved. The blood for sheer shame shot to his face and pride. With rage, his face flushed red, and so did all beside. Then the king, as bold man bred, toward the stranger took a stride. Okay, Arthur is going to step up. He and said, Sir, now we see you will say but folly, which whoso has sought it suits that he find. No guest here is aghast of your great words. Give to me your Gizarm, in God's own name. Whoa, he just swore for this time period. That's an oath. In God's own name. You're going to hear sometimes during this time period things like by God's wounds, by his bones, those kinds of things. And so it was taking an oath. It was serious. And so Arthur's saying, I'll take you on. And the boon you have begged shall straight be granted. He leaps to him lightly, lays hold of his weapon. The green fellow on foot fiercely alights. Now has Arthur his axe, and the haft grips, and sternly stirs it about on striking bent. The stranger before him stood there erect, higher than any in the house by a head or and more. So this guy is tall, like a giant, once again. With stern look as he stood, he stroked his beard, and with undaunted countenance drew down his coat. So he strokes his beard, this Green Knight, and then he pulls down his coat to better expose his neck so that it is available for this whole beheading. No more moved nor dismayed for his mighty dints than any bold man on bench had brought him a drink of water. So this stranger is as calm, cool, and collected as if he was just offered a glass of water, and that is what he's going to do. No fear here. Gawain by Guinevere toward the king doth now incline. I beseech before all here that this melee may be mine. So Gawain is basically saying, I want to take your place, Arthur. Would you grant me the grace, said Gawain to the king, to be gone from this bench and stand by you there, if I, without discourtesy, might quit this board, and if my liege lady misliked it not, I would come to your council before your court noble. So back in Nibelungenlied, we also had that phrase, leave the board or something like that. And here we have it again. Basically, that's an older way of saying leave the table, because the table would be a board, a piece of wood that they sat at. And he's asking permission from King Arthur to take King Arthur's place. And he doesn't want to offend King Arthur. He doesn't want to offend any of the ladies, but he would like to do this. For I find it not fit, as in faith it is known, when such a boon is begged before all these knights, though you be tempted thereto to take it on yourself, while so bold men about upon benches sit, that no host under heaven is hardier of will, nor better brothers in arms where battle is joined. I am the weakest, well I know, and of wit feeblest, and the loss of my life would be least of any that I have for you, uncle, is my only praise. My body, but for your blood, is barren of worth. Okay, a lot of stuff to just kind of stop and unpack here. So, what kinds of knights are we if we let you take on this challenge? You know, we are supposed to do the fighting. You are our king. We're supposed to serve you. And a difference here from Beowulf and from Siegfried, where the boasting was so strong. Here there is great humility shown. I am the weakest, the feeblest. And he's basically saying, my relation to you gives me my worth because I have the same blood as you. And that's it. Kind of neat ways of talking.